today was a good day in the end. I mean, so like one thing on this in particular that I haven't really been entirely honest with myself with recently is the fact that I've been struggling, like, for, I don't know what you could call it, whether you could call it motivation, inspiration, drive, it could just be a clusterfuck of all of them. I've been struggling, and like when I look back at my when I look back at my video log and just life and just being aware, like, really the struggle started from the miscarriage, and I never really like recovered as well as I thought I did from that. Now it was quite an easy thing to like get over the initial shock of, but getting over because I was cheating in many ways. Like, I was using the pregnancy as like real drive, real energy. Like, everything I was doing because like I want my kid to come into this world with somebody that they can be proud of off the rip, and continue to compound on what I earned today, so that when they're 21 years old, they're looking at me like I'm still a king. And that is, like, I'll be real, like, that was the easiest hard work has ever been for me. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. I think I'm somebody who, I know there's like, I know some people have this idea that there's like two different types of men in this world. Some men thrive off solitude and essentially like being alone, focusing on self, building, amassing, I guess what you could call great achievements, or whatever they perceive to be great achievements, but by being alone and then bringing somebody into that to then create a family with. I'm the opposite. I'm the other type of person who thrives off the extra responsibility of having people to look after, people to take care of. And that whole experience, work with just any sort of hard work and discipline was a piece of piss to me. And in reality, since then, I've been realizing it the last few days, which is why I feel like I've been struggling to like get my thoughts out onto these audios, because I haven't been honest with myself. I'm realizing over the last few days that I allowed myself to slip back into some old habits that I had been out of for a fairly long time, and found it easy being out of during that period, that were of detriment to me. And I had slacked on positive, healthy habits. I haven't been reading well this whole year, really, but it's been accentuated since then. For the last few weeks now, it's been really exaggerated. For the last few weeks, I haven't been reading well. I haven't been consuming educational shit, because that's all I really do. Like, as somebody who doesn't fucking have socials, like, that doesn't mean I don't have any screen time. I do have screen time. I'm a gamer. I have a community of friends that I game with on a very regular basis that I grew up with. Like, they're not people that I know online. Like, nah, these are the people that I was having sleepovers with and fucking, like, yeah, all that shit. These are the boys that I've spent my childhood with. So my screen time goes there, and outside of that, it's mostly educational shit, whether it's podcasts, or I'm a big podcast guy, whether it's podcasts or fucking audiobooks, I guess you could throw in there. Like, I usually always have an audiobook on the go, regardless of what else. Book, like reading a physical book. I personally am somebody who likes paper books. I don't have a Kindle or anything. Yeah, I've been slacking on that shit, and I've been slacking on that shit hard, and it hit me like the last few days, I've been feeling like shit. Been sleeping way more than I usually do, which is always a telltale sign for me. Like, my mum, funnily enough, pointed that out to me when I was younger, after leaving college and whatnot. Like, the more I slept, it probably meant the lower I was mentally. And it was difficult. Like, it was difficult to like come to terms with it and accept and admit to myself, like, yo, you've been lacking, bro. Like, been obsessing over games again, not reading, not watching, not feeding my mind healthy food, so to speak. And like, just thinking that all I needed to do was complete my physical practices, like keeping the house clean and tidy, and getting my exercise in and thinking that was enough, but that's not enough. That's not enough. It's never enough. It never will be enough. We can't just feed our body and use it well. Like, we have to feed our mind and use it well. Also, and I've been neglecting that of late. I've really been neglecting that of late. I haven't been learning anything particularly new, which is something that I always thrive on. And yeah, man, it'd been fucking me up a little bit. Like, it'd been fucking me up a little bit. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. And I'd also been smoking a little bit more. I've become, as somebody who, like, since childhood, like growing up in London, like, weed's always about, you know what I mean? And you begin your journey with it quite early. And I've been on like many different paths in my journey when it comes to marijuana use. And recently, it'd been in the healthiest place it'd ever been. I'd been the most aware of what place it has in my life than I'd ever been. And obviously, and since the miscarriage, looking back at it, I have slacked on the structure I'd put in place for myself in order to have a healthy relationship with it. I went from initially just being recreational, strictly only with friends, to then late teens, just on your own at home, to then eventually there was small periods where I was every night, but then it would be okay because I would take months off at a time, and that would make me feel like, yeah, I'm still in control, even though in reality I probably wasn't. To then in my mid-20s, essentially completely detaching from it, and I got to a point where, like, I hadn't smoked in, I couldn't even remember how long. Like, I stopped taking count. It must have been almost a year, until I got to a point where I was like, let me try, like, allowing myself once a week, not smoking once a week, but just allowing myself once a week, which became really interesting. It got to a point where, like, I wasn't even smoking every week. There'd be weeks where I'd be like, oh shit, I forgot I'm allowed to smoke on a Sunday. And it was Monday, and I'm like, shit, I missed it. And then the same thing would happen next week, and then so on and so forth. However, since the miscarriage, I obviously turned to it. It's always been a coping mechanism of mine. Whether I realized it or cared to admit it or not, it was always a coping mechanism. And I clearly, in hindsight, have turned to it since the miscarriage, which is kind of frustrating, kind of annoying, and it's a strange thing to feel strange. It's always really difficult to, like, sit here and be honest with yourself, with, like, when you've been in a shit place. Like, it's so easy to fucking sit here and be honest with yourself when you've been in a good place, but being in a shit place, like, you almost do everything in your power to just not accept it, and you just refuse it and try and fight it and keep it away from you. And that is crazy. It's seeped into, like, even little things, like my training log, writing my shit down at the gym. I've been slacking on that recently, way harder than I ever have before. Why? I can only attribute it to being part of the greater problem that is me not being as emotionally aware and as disciplined as I have been in the past with my habits. Which is, I feel like this is a really important, like, thing to learn and understand, because I highly doubt that this will be the first miscarriage I ever experience in a relationship. And that's okay, because I need to go into all the other pregnancies that I have in my future. I need to go into that with a much more balanced and stable mind, and not rely on the energies that come with it, and the insane, amazing energies that come with the idea of becoming a new dad. Maybe it's heightened because it's gonna be my first time. I don't know, but at least I can go into the next one knowing, all right, cool. Like, you got to temper this feeling. You got to temper this energy. You can't sit there and cheat. You can't be there on the treadmill, like, thinking about, like, the son or the daughter that you might have, and using that as fuel, because when you lose that fuel, like, you'll crash like no other. Like, it's a unique crash in that respect. So fuck experiencing that again. So next time you have to take that experience and be extremely disciplined with it, which I look forward to. I look forward to not getting excited until it's around the corner, being disciplined and using that as a practice to not get excited until it's right there on my doorstep, in my hands, so to speak. So as to avoid any crashes if anything bad does happen. I feel like that would be extremely important. So yeah, no, it feels good to get this off my chest. It's been a good day in all. I mean, I didn't get out of bed till fucking 3 o'clock today, which was crazy because I went to bed earlier than I ever fucking do go to bed, which told me everything I needed to know. But I just gave myself time to think. Like, it is what it is, isn't it? Like, I gave myself time to think, discuss it with the people around me, and just air my dirty laundry, you know what I mean? Like, just man the fuck up and air that shit out. Because I even felt like it was affecting my training. Like, I was coming into training with way less motivation, way less energy, way less drive to do the boring stuff. On the days where you're not doing something fun like fucking deadlifting or just anything that you find fun, it was becoming a slog. And it was frustratingly, it was becoming much more common for me to be thinking and feeling, I don't want to go today. And what kind of excuses can I use to get out of it? How can I do them? Fuck all that, man. I hate that shit. I despise those thoughts and feelings. I do everything in my power to get rid of them, and I've seldom let them overcome me, and have yet to do so in this 60-day stint of fucking training. However, yeah, it's nice to finally feel like I'm in the driving seat again and fucking take control of it. And I hate to use this term, but like, I guess it's kind of a taste of what like depression or serious depression like must be like. Like, when you're just, I can imagine it being a hole that people get themselves into and just can find no way out, and you just seek comfort. You succumb to the thoughts and the feelings that you have about not doing this and not doing that. And I can imagine that being a horrible place, man. Because it'd be naive of me to say, I used to say this all the time in my early 20s and as a kid, like I've never been depressed in my life. I don't understand it. Like, I think it's just nonsense. But as I've got older and people close to me have experienced what they've experienced, and even as I've experienced what I've experienced, whilst I don't ever believe I've been or had a prolonged case of depression and I've ever been depressed for a long period of time, thankfully, I'm a very resilient person in that respect. I can understand, like, I can see now, I can imagine much better and much clearer what it must be like for people to experience, which I guess allows you to be far more equipped to help and handle anybody who's going through that, which is kind of empowering, and it makes you more valuable to the people around you, if nothing else. But again, if you made it this far, I appreciate you very, very much, and I shall see you tomorrow.